The Miami Dolphins' running game has been struggling, and it's become impossible to ignore. For the fourth game in a row, the team couldn't get anything going on the ground, and the Thanksgiving night loss to the Green Bay Packers put that issue front and center. The numbers tell a frustrating story: 14 carries for just 39 yards. When you take away Tua Tagovailoa's 2 scrambles for 6 yards, the running backs managed only 33 yards on 12 carries. That's far from the explosive performances fans saw earlier this season. Not long ago, the Dolphins were averaging 170 rushing yards per game, tearing through defenses with ease. Over the last 4 games, that number has dropped to 63.25 yards per game. What happened? Where did that dominant ground attack go? One major factor has been the absence of Austin Jackson. Since Jackson went down with an injury after the Week 9 game against Buffalo, the offensive line hasn't looked the same. Kendall Lamb has stepped in, but it's clear he can't bring the same physicality or consistency. Jackson's ability to create space off the snap made a significant difference in the running game. Without him, the right side of the line has become a weak spot. Against the Packers, this problem was impossible to ignore. On a critical second and goal from the 1-yard line, the Dolphins should have punched the ball into the end zone. Instead, Lamb lost his block, and Devon Achane was stuffed at the line. Miami tried passing on the next 2 plays, only for Tua to be sacked on 4th down. That was a moment that could have shifted momentum, but instead, it highlighted just how much the offense is struggling in short yardage situations. The impact of Jackson's absence is clear when you look at the numbers. In his last 4 starts, the Dolphins rushed for 214 yards off the right side of the line. Since Lamb took over, that number has plummeted to 78 yards. It's not just about Lamb, though. Right guard Liam Eichenberg has also had trouble holding his blocks, and the entire offensive line seems to be feeling the strain. Miami's last 4 games rank among the worst of the season in terms of yards before contact, which means the running backs are getting hit almost immediately. That's a recipe for failure, no matter who's in the backfield. The Dolphins are also running the ball less often. Over the past 4 games, they've averaged 21.5 carries per game, compared to 34.25 during their earlier dominant stretch. Part of this change is tied to Tua's return. When backup quarterbacks were starting earlier in the season, the team leaned heavily on the run game to compensate. Now, with Tua back, the offense is more pass-heavy. That shift makes sense, but it hasn't been working when the running game isn't providing balance. Even when the Dolphins do run, it hasn't been effective. Their success rate on running plays has dropped dramatically. Against the Rams in Week 10, their success rate was just 19%, the worst under Mike McDaniel. The best performance during this slump came against the Raiders, but even that was only 33%. For comparison, earlier in the season, the Dolphins were consistently breaking through for big gains and converting key downs on the ground. That's not happening anymore, and it's putting extra pressure on the passing game to carry the offense. Fixing these issues won't be easy. Much of the problem comes down to personnel. Austin Jackson isn't returning, and players like Terron Armstead and Liam Eichenberg aren't going to suddenly turn into dominant run blockers. Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert, while incredibly fast, aren't built to break through heavy contact at the line of scrimmage. They thrive in space, but there hasn't been much of that lately. Some fans might call for more running plays, but that's not a simple solution. Running the ball more often won't help if the team isn't efficient when they do it. One potential fix could be giving Jalen Wright more opportunities. Right size and contact balance might make him a better fit for short yardage situations. But for now, it seems the coaching staff doesn't fully trust him in crucial moments. Another possibility is changing the approach by running more plays from under center. That formation has worked well in the past, leading to big games against teams like New England and Indianapolis. However, under center runs require the offensive line to create push, and right now, that's been a struggle. Without that push, even the best designed plays can fall flat. Looking ahead, the Dolphins might catch a break with their upcoming schedule. They'll face weaker run defenses like the Jets and Browns, who rank 21st and 23rd in rushing yards allowed per game, respectively. If there's ever a chance to get the ground game back on track, it's in these matchups. That said, it's worth noting that the Rams also had one of the league's worst run defenses, and the Dolphins couldn't capitalize. The reality is that this isn't just about one player or one problem. It's a combination of injuries, inconsistent execution, and a lack of adjustments. The offensive line isn't creating lanes, the running backs aren't breaking tackles, and the play calling hasn't been able to mask those deficiencies. It's frustrating to watch because the talent is there. This team should be better than this.